and you guys don't need to hear that again. Okay, loose agenda today. Some hellos from your friendly Lindens and friends. We'll do some quick intros. And then a couple things on the agenda today. I thought, Adam, you can maybe share some more details about the performance improvements that we did last week.
Yep.
And then we might have a special guest, or I might do my best to tell you about some of the changes that made their way to Alpha yesterday, some new locations to visit. And then I think we can move to open mic or questions. I saw a couple things on Discord, but not a long list, but I'm sure I've missed something. So yeah, first let's just go say some hellos. Hi, I'm Bridie Linden, your host as usual, working on all things mobile, trying to keep my eyes on incoming comments and questions and feedback. Thank you all for coming here today, and also reports in Canny. Also working on the future of where we take mobile with my friends on the team here. Adam, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'm Adam. I'm the lead mobile developer. So when it comes to actually the app itself, I'm here to answer all your questions.
Indeed. Thank you. I think we've got a Pluto. Hey there.
Yep. Hi, I'm Pluto. Happy to see all y'all. I'm the UX designer on the mobile team. Good to see everybody today.
And I think we have a Beanie. Yes. Hello.
Hello everyone, I'm Bridie Linden, Mobile QA Engineer. Great to see you all.
Great. I think that might be it for the team today. We've had a very busy week. But Adam, why don't you take the mic and give us some more of the details of things and changes we made that, like I said, made their way to the production apps last week.
Yeah, so I could probably give a little bit of an update about what we've shipped, and maybe a little bit about what we're going to be shipping soon as well. So when we did the fairly large update at the start of the month on October 3rd, we heard a bit of feedback from people that the performance on some of the Android devices had gone backwards, which was not great, especially since we spent all that time trying to make it run faster and load quicker. So that's the kind of thing that we don't want to hear. So one of the things we shipped last week was we shipped a few changes designed to improve performance, particularly on lower-end Android devices. And I say the word lower-end Android device, but actually it covers a pretty wide spectrum. It's actually kind of hard to tell. Some Android devices particularly focus on, for example, improved battery life or performance across the day, and they sort of sacrifice some of their GPU capabilities in order to get that. But unfortunately, that means that Android's a little bit of a minefield sometimes, that we've got fairly new devices that are advertised not as low-end phones that have got okay hardware internally, but the GPU is not so great. So some of the things we've shipped last week, we made a couple of changes. The biggest one is we adjusted the rendering resolution based on your frame rate. And this is something that's a little bit controversial, I guess, because it can lower the quality of the rendering while it tries to improve things. But at the start of a session, particularly when there's a lot of things loading and a lot of things going on, we are reducing the resolution, which might make things a little bit blurrier, just to try and keep frame rate at least at that sort of 20 frames per second mark or better, if we can, just to make sure that that is responsive and it is doing what it should. We also made a lot of other small tweaks and adjustments, particularly on Android devices. We made some tweaks to sort of the number of rendering passes we're doing, and so forth, to try and sort of cut those things down. I simplified some of the shaders as well to try and sort of squeeze some extra performance out of them. And on the test device that I use, particularly on these kinds of hardware, we got an improvement in the frame rate by about 25%. So it's not necessarily a night and day difference, but it's certainly something that we hope will be responsive and will improve things a bit. And it was the difference between sort of a 10 FPS and maybe a 15 FPS on that device. And then with the rendering resolution cuts, it actually gets all the way up to 20. So that was one of the things that we shipped, which is on that kind of case. We also made some tweaks to how out-of-memory situations are handled. It's not perfect, but previously, and for the bulk of the app's lifetime so far, when an object is deleted by our out-of-memory killer, which basically tries to get ahead of the operating system terminating us, so we try and rapidly unload content as fast as possible. When that happened previously, that content, once it's gone, stays gone. We've made an improvement to that with the big set of changes we shipped at the start of the month was that we now have the ability to unload and reload the same bit of content repeatedly without sort of running into that kind of situation. So we updated our out-of-memory sort of unloader to be aware of this new system so that they can work in concert. And that means that when an out-of-memory situation occurs, the content will eventually reload as long as there is memory available to load it back in with. So that's another one of those changes that we've already shipped. Bridie, is it worth me talking a little bit about some of the work that we're doing at the moment as well?
I think so. Yeah, why not?
So that obviously covers, I would say that the bulk of the changes we always shipped at the start of the month, and what we've been doing here is sort of tweaks, but important tweaks is what we've shipped. But what we're actually working on next is a much larger batch of work. That's one that I've been wanting to do for a very long time now, which is to adjust the resolutions of textures that get downloaded. Now, for convenience and a number of other factors, sorry, 1 second. For convenience, a number of other factors, we have been loading mobile textures at pretty much one fixed resolution, except for your avatar. Your avatar skin textures, we loaded a different resolution, but that means that the mobile client doesn't really take into account the size of objects and things like that when choosing what resolution to load things at. So we've been switching over to a new system, which is our variable textures is what we call it, but it basically means that we are now loading textures at different resolutions based on the surface area of the objects on screen. So larger objects will get more texture memory allocated to them and they'll get larger textures. Smaller objects, like say for example a ring on an object, might get load at the very minimum resolution if we can get away with it. And the goal of this system is to try and allocate that memory a little bit more efficiently, because we have a lot of big objects in the scene that deserve that high resolution, but we also have far more objects that are really tiny that you can barely see that are using up quite a lot of memory. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. So the new system is going to adjust that on the fly as well. So as you move around the scene, as you get closer to objects, as you get further from them, it will adjust the surface area calculations. The object will resize. We will request the different resolution textures, and they'll come down at the same time. Now, this is a big batch of work that's got something that we've been working on bits and pieces for the last couple of months, but we are expecting to hopefully ship that one in our next release. And when that comes down, that's going to mean that we not only are more effectively loading and giving detailed right objects, but we're hoping that it'll actually also free up a lot of memory too, which means that we will have more room to load content, which means larger draw distances, and also potentially us being able to then spend that memory in other different ways, like for example PBR textures and things like that have currently been locked out by the fact that we need to load all that extra texture memory. We might now have some memory available in order to be able to do that. So that's the next batch of work we're working on, and I'm hoping that we'll have a few more things to talk about as well coming up next. Bridie, over to you.
Yeah, I can hear you getting kind of choked up about those changes that are coming. No, in all seriousness, it's pretty exciting to see this work to come together. Like, we're testing it already, and we're going to need you, folks who are participating in our alpha program, to help us when that is ready, because obviously these changes affect everything we're experiencing in Second Life. So you've all already been so helpful there. But before, one, if you have any questions about that, please ask away. But also, I plunked in the chat there the release notes from last week's performance updates, and I wanted to give you guys a chance to ask any questions about those changes. So I will just pause for a second. So chat or voice is welcome. And
I have a sort of question that's sort of related to that. When you added the 25-meter draw distance, did you make it so that it constantly resets to the default if you're not at the default every time you open a new application?
Not intentionally.
Oh,
That's something I have had a report of. The settings should persist. It does for me, but I have had maybe one or two other reports of that. So it is something that we'll try and patch out in the next update if we can.
okay, thanks.
the default should be 40, right?
The default is 40. Yes, that was in the
Yeah.
latest patch we did. Was we increased the minimum default, so every device will do at least 40. Some will do higher.
Yeah, at install. So yeah, maybe double check that you've got the latest. Just trying to keep up with the chat now. I lowered my draw just. Got it, Jade. I'm not sure I understand Nick's comment. Adam?
Yeah, I think that's a suggestion that we add a reset to default settings button somewhere in the settings. That's probably not a
Oh, I
bad
see.
idea.
Yeah. Got you. Okay. Thank you both. All right. Any other questions or comments about those recent changes? All right, then I'll take the mic back. We may have another Linden show up later, so you'll have to bear with me for the moment to share some more about these other updates that are coming, well, have already arrived in the alpha and coming soon to our other apps. Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with chat in both. So yeah, we're super excited. If you're already in the alpha program, you've already seen, right? We've released 4 new starter experiences, and like I said, coming soon to the production apps. And these were built with some of Second Life's top creators, and with specifically with mobile in mind. We want these experiences to be fast and social and photogenic and obviously touch friendly. And you're getting essentially a teaser experience right now. We expect to continue to iterate on these experiences and make them even better. But yeah, I mean, this is a great example of these top creators collaborating with us to create these super high quality mobile first experiences. So if you're not yet in the alpha group, let me just tell you a little bit about the 4 that are now available. One is called Scaredy Cat's Funhouse by Mad P, and it's super playful and fun, a gamified experience where you go through and try to catch the little kitties. Another one is called Midnight Pulse, and it's a like a nightclub, and that's by Bad Unicorn. And then we've got another one called Chronicles from the Backwaters by Altscape, and that's more like a dark, gritty adventure interactive novel. And then from our own Second Life Studios, we have the Mobile Learning Center. So again, all of these targeted at new users, but a variety of experiences. But the Mobile Learning Center, a place to teach people how to move in the mobile app, how to fly, get used to moving around with the V-Stick and so forth. And then we have Camp Witch Forest as our control space, which is where we new users' home locations are. So why did we do this? We've learned a lot about mobile apps in this last why we've been building Second Life Mobile, and we know that people want short, sort of snackable experiences, and have shorter sessions on mobile, and we want to encourage that kind of energy. We know obviously the the design for mobile is very different with the touch UI and small screens and with a large variety of devices and performances. So that informed our choices as well. And then we're, again, trying to lean into people using their mobile devices for things like selfies and shareable moments. So these 4 or 5 new experiences really are super fun, and I think will make you want to grab screenshots and share with your friends. So how will you get to see these? Sorry, keeping up with my own notes here. So brand new users will get to pick as they're going through what we call the join experience. So they create their avatar and enter their information to set up their account, and then they get to choose one of these, air quotes, starter experiences to go to first. And then the rest of you who are already, in Second Life, you'll see them by going to the lobby. So you can go to any one of them. And again, I want to call out this group that we've been working with. It's been a very tight and fun collaboration between Linden Lab and this invited list of creators. I can't say enough about how cool it is to work with people who know so much about Second Life and are, probably even more excited sometimes than we are about building these new experiences. Yeah, they've been working with us directly to iterate on their builds and optimize them again for mobile. And, we're doing our best to take their feedback and fix issues that they found for us. So that's been really great to have that, again, really tight collaboration. So what are we looking for? We're not just building these things and putting out there and never coming back to them. We're going to be iterating on these locations and again working with these creators. But we want to see what people are doing in the app and test and look and monitor the metrics that we see for how successful these experiences are. So looking at their week 1 retention over this, that's kind of the first thing we'll be looking at. And then we'll, of course, be looking at the performance of these different locations too, and also looking for feedback on how we can improve the app and make these experiences super fun and stable and reliable. And then we'll continue experiment going forward. And yeah, again, the primary thing first, we want to success looks like improve retention rates for that first week and first 24 hours. Where are they spending time? And then we'll look longer term, month over month stickiness, and do we see people actually moving from mobile to desktop? And then the technical health, if you want to call it that, of the app itself, and what's the load time look like? What's our frame rate look like? How's our memory usage? Yeah, what else can I tell you? I guess backing up again, the principles that we looked at as we went into this project, we really wanted these new experiences to be fun and immediate. So like in that first minute that you're excited and doing something interesting. We wanted it to be legible and readable on mobile, so it's really clear what you're supposed to do as a brand new user or an existing user. And we wanted things to be social, interactive, so things like the dance floor or collaborative gaming is something that we encourage these creators to build for us. And again, optimized for mobile, so lightweight performance of the objects and textures in the scene, but still, beautiful and engaging. And opportunities for users and residents and your avatar to express themselves. So again, a beautiful environment you might want to take a selfie at, or just a fun environment where everybody's dancing and such. So big shout outs to Mad P, Bad Unicorn, Archieback, Altscape, and our Second Life Studios for building these out. I can't wait for all of you to be able to have access to it, and I look forward to keeping an eye on how these things impact new users. And I am sorry, I did not keep up with the chat as it was scrolling by, and I was sharing those updates. But questions, feedback? Ruby, thank you so much for taking a look at the locations and giving us some feedback yesterday. I see RC here. If you want to chime in, you're welcome to say hello too. Yeah, we're all very like super impressed with what's been built. Are you trying to speak, Pluto? If you're speaking, I can't hear you.
No, I'm not
Oh, okay.
trying.
Oh, sorry. You were I thought you were tapping the mic. Got you.
Sorry about that. No, I was proposing an alternative term to double tap.
Gotcha. Tap tap. Yep. All right. Well, again, thanks to the content creators and thanks for those who've already had a chance to check out these new locations. But let's see if we had any other questions to cover. I think on Discord, what did I see? A couple things. There was at least one more question about bringing the map to mobile. And Pluto, at the risk of asking you to repeat yourself from previous meetings, do you want to speak on that just for a minute or two?
To talk about the map, I don't know how much there is to say about it yet. The reason that we haven't just dropped it in, because we have made the web maps mobile responsive, is that there isn't a lot of utility there yet. If any of you want to try, how they work currently, if you go to maps.secondlife.com on your phone, you'll see the state of web maps. They aren't as good as the built-in maps in desktop, and they have some limitations. Search is not perfect, and so we had hoped to make them better before putting them in, but we may change our minds and just say let's put something in there sooner. So that's an ongoing conversation.
Yep. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure if I probably missed things on Discord. I see that there was a fair bit of chatter today, so I'll just offer open mic. If you guys have questions for us, we're happy to do our best to answer.
Okay, so I'm probably a little bit unusual of a user in that I have 19 paid accounts. That's how I pay for my land instead of having a $200 a month tier. I share with a whole bunch of avatars and have like a bunch of premium avatars. So I have my phone is it's got the max memory that's offered for the iPhone 15, but I notice when I'm logging my avatars on, obviously I'm going to do streaks as long as they're offered. And I noticed that as I go down the list of avatars, that I start running into problems where things aren't loading anymore. The environment around me isn't fully loading. And I was wondering, are they keeping their memory for each avatar and running out because I have so many avatars, or is the memory getting reused and somehow maybe some of it getting lost, or what's going on with that?
I can answer that one, and it's a really annoying one. The answer is it's the technical term is called memory fragmentation, and basically, we are releasing the memory, but maybe we're keeping a small something that we've allocated here and there. And when you think about memory, computer memory, if you think about it as sort of one big contiguous block of memory, and what happens when a tiny thing is sitting in the middle of it is that suddenly if you need to allocate a big thing, you can't do it anymore because there's one tiny little thing sitting in the middle that blocks it from allocating, and you sort of scale that up over time. And if you're logging in and logging out lots and lots of sessions, that might happen, that the memory gets fragmented. Now, Unity makes this a really annoying problem to deal with. It's one of those one of the areas that you've really got to watch for. Unity 7, when we do upgrade to it, is going to finally include a proper fix for memory fragmentation. There's got a new garbage collector that can reallocate memory rather than just leaving it there. It can move it around to try and optimize for that problem. But that's the most likely reason why that's happening. The easy solution for that one is just to swipe the app up and release it entirely. And that will close the app, release all the memory, and when it comes back, it'll come back from a blank slate. But it is something we are tracking. I'm trying to reduce the number of tiny allocations we've got because that's exactly the kind of thing that it will trigger. But it is something that we're aware of, and we'll be trying to improve.
I've actually had the experience where I don't actually physically turn the phone off, but I close the app and I push the little side button, which makes it go dead, like if it, so it's
Yep.
not using battery. And then when I come back, I've got the same exact memory situation as I had.
That it's probably resident. So I recommend that when you open up the sort of the swipe between multiple apps and you just swipe it up from there and then leave it for a second, that should remove it and it should behave better. If it's still not, if it's coming from a completely blank start, and the way you can tell it's a blank start is because you'll see the multicolored Second Life hands logo when it first launches. If you see that, you know it's coming from a blank state. If it's having that problem and it's coming from a blank slate, I'd like to know more.
Okay.
So get in touch over Discord or somewhere else, and maybe we can figure out a little bit more detail about it.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'm not closing it as much as I thought I was. I found the only thing that really works is if I turn the phone all the way off, physically power it down, then
Yeah.
it's definitely clean.
The other thing that I'll add is that particularly on iOS, we're really memory constrained. It's kind of both of the platforms, iOS and Android, have got different strengths and weaknesses. For iOS, its memory is the weakness, but the GPU is the strength, meaning that we can render a lot of really rich, high-quality content on all iOS devices. There's very few that don't have that strong CPU sitting in them. But iOS is the most restrictive in terms of the amount of memory that we can access. So on iOS, we are rarely allowed more than sort of a gigabyte total. But that can get less, and the fastest way for us to get less memory to play with is lots of other apps open in the background as well. So if you restart your phone completely, you'll have no other apps running, which means that we will get all of the available memory that iOS chooses to give us, which is a lot less than what your phone physically has. And that's why that might help. But just also swiping up on other apps in the background, particularly anything heavy, will give us more memory in our app. Usually, at least some of it anyway.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, good question. Good answer. Thank you, Adam. Ruby asks, will there ever be any localization translation of the app? I would estimate that perhaps 50% of the new residents trying Second Life on mobile are non-English speakers, and English-only menus can be confusing for them. Oh, interesting that you asked that or mention it. Yeah, I mean, and I hate to repeat what Nick said I would say on Discord, but yeah, it's on the list. It's on our roadmap. I can't tell you exactly when, but for sure, yeah, we have, like probably many of you know, and done our homework around the amount of non-English speakers, not only in Second Life, but using mobile apps and mobile games around the world. And yeah, for sure, I would like to be able to offer them at least the UI in their language of choice. So yeah, definitely on the list. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I do like chocolate best, but gummy candy is probably second. All right, what else you guys got? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Pantera. Oh, worm for the froggy. Yep, sure. Yeah, I think that would be a win for us for sure.
I think the hard part is not actually doing the translations.
Yeah.
A couple services that we work with that are really quite good at doing that. I think it's setting up the app and all of the text strings to receive different language translations. That is the work.
Indeed. Well, if there aren't other questions, and I didn't see other Lindens drop in, I think I'm inclined to wrap this meeting. I'll hang out for a bit, but yeah. Anyway, hey, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a happy Halloween if you celebrate. Have a great Friday, even if you don't celebrate Halloween. Thank you for coming and for giving us feedback on the things we've been working on. And please check out the new experiences when you have access to them.
And just as a final follow-up comment, we did have some people report issues with performance on Android when we did release at the start of the month. So if you haven't already, please check out the latest builds and give us some feedback if that's still a problem for you and it wasn't for, it broke at the start of the month. And if it's still broken, I would love to know.
Yes, me too. Yeah, our feedback portal is a great place to report it. If you're on Discord, feel free to ping me or me and World also. And you can report issues directly from the app, from the menu, help, or from the menu, and then go to help and give feedback or file a bug. We do look at those as well. Okay, thanks, friends. We appreciate you. Talk to you later.
Right.
Cheers. Ta.